Yeah, so what I want to do this morning, and one, Vince and I are excited the fact that we got a lot of kudos yesterday, by the way. I was on a um, Southeast Regional Manager meeting that Dennis asked me to take part in. So I got the chance to be on Zoom for 3 hours yesterday morning. Um,
Mm.
and but we got a lot of kudos from not only Dennis, but a couple other people about how we've been so proactive in getting you guys engaged with the Go Hannah stuff and the twice a week training and things like that. And that's all well and good. And if you missed them, obviously you can go back into our Agent Hub and find them. You also, once you're signed in, David, once you get signed in as well, you can get in there and you can go through the tutorials and things like that. Vincent knows I sent an e-card out yesterday, and it was so easy to do. I mean, I just, I had Laura Ross, who's with Howard Hanna. She kind of walked me through it, and I created my first e-card and sent it out, and it's just so easy. So once you kind of get in there and start using it, man, there's some power in it. And just like what Sarah said the other day on Tuesday, um, about she put some stuff in and she's got already gotten some prospects because it transferred from Engage over to here and over to there, and it all just auto fills. And but anyway, the Fast Start class, we'll go through some of those things. But what we're excited about is that we're through most of that. There'll be new programs being launched, like the buyback guarantee. We hope we're going to be able to launch that as early as maybe the middle of June, which is the program that if they list with you and somebody buys the house and then they decide to sell it and list with Howard Hanna, Howard Hanna guarantees the price of the house. So if the market dropped off, it's just one more little safety net that I think is going to be a powerful tool. The other tool that hopefully we're going to be announcing, or not announcing, but being able to implement in the next couple months is with Jay at Town Mortgage, the buy before you sell program, which is an incredible bridge loan program. So that when you've got people who are thinking about wanting to buy something new and want to buy it non-contingent, because it can't get built until they do that. If you've got enough equity, you can go in and you can make yourself non-contingent, and the interest that accrues on the bridge loan, you don't pay until you sell your house, and so it gets paid out of the equity, so you don't have to feel the pain of it every month. And what that does is it gives you the opportunity, once we're able to implement it, hopefully in the next month or two, is to go to sellers and say to them, look, we got this amazing program that you won't have to move except for one time. You can be non-contingent with new construction. You can wait a couple, 3 months. You put your house on the market. It's going to settle in 60 days, and you can move right in, versus having to, figure out and worry about making that second move. Barbara, you going to say something?
Yeah, it's not just for new construction though, is it?
No,
Is it?
no.
Yeah.
I'm just using it as an example. You could do it with resales as well. Yeah. No, I was just using it as an example. And I talked to Dennis about it again yesterday, and they're trying to, fine tune it and everything. And we just don't want to launch it until we know we've got it and that Jay can handle them right and we don't have any problems with them. But anyway, the point of all that is all those things will continue to come. But now that we've gotten through all the Go Hannah stuff, we'll be able to point you back to the AHA. We'll be able to point you back to Go Hannah and the tutorials. And now we're able to kind of get back into, just doing our own thing, which, we're really good at in regards to, our personal training. So now you not only have, you got back the personal training that we'll be doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you still have the Leading RE Institute that you can go into and get information, videos. Now you've got Howard Hanna U. I don't know if any of you have gone in there yet, but it's pretty powerful. That was launched on the, what was that, 1st of April, Vincent?
Yeah.
You got Howard Hanna U. And so you've got all these amazing training opportunities that is above and beyond what we had before. But Vince and I are really excited about getting back, and hopefully you've seen that we've tried to localize all the training, even in the midst of the Go Hannah stuff. That's why I sit in on the Charge Ahead on Monday morning. I want to hear what Brenda's talking about. And then at the 10 o'clock synergy class, which all of you guys have been a part of, I'm then able to take that and make it local to us and have you ask questions and answer questions and learn from each other and everything. And that's powerful. And in case you haven't noticed, I'm actually in the office.
That looked like,
So I'm in my office. I got my door closed, and I've started coming in the office some in the mornings and the afternoons, and more people are coming in. And so anyway, things are getting somewhat, back to some nice rhythm. But I think it's a perfect time. I've been thinking a lot about over this last few weeks. I don't even know. I think it came from, training I did a few months ago where I talked about why are we always so tired? Why are we all so stressed out as the day goes along? And one of the things that I realized was because our brains are like computers. Our brains are like computers. And what that means is that, our brains have got a lot of things going on there. What you're focusing on right now in your conscious, there's a lot of stuff in the subconscious that's, doing its thing in the background. And quite honestly, I've really learned a lot about that over these last couple of years because my brain is kind of the last thing that is recovering from my Guillain-Barré syndrome. The Guillain-Barré syndrome is a autoimmune system disorder that it negatively impacts your nervous system, and obviously you have more nerves going into your head and into your brain than any other part of your body. And so it's taking a little bit longer for those nerves to regenerate in my brain. And
Michael, you should.
What's that?
I was going to say you should take lion's mane mushrooms supplements. They're supposed to be really good for your nerves and your brain. It's good.
Tell me what it is again.
I'll send you a link to it. Lion's mane. I take it every day just to, get ahead of it. But just something to look into.
That'd be great because I know for me, when I've got lots going on, mentally, whether it's personal stuff or professional stuff or whatever, I can get fatigued pretty quick because my nerves are still not firing exactly right. But anyway, so I think that's probably why I've been thinking a lot about this, because what I realized is as we go through the day, and we start the day, a window opens in our computer. And whether it's a window where you're figuring out how to make a cup of coffee, or it's a window where you're sitting in your chair and reading and processing and thinking about things that you have to do for the day, whether it's a window where you're like me, I go on to a 5:30 FaceTime Live thing called Rise and Grind. I listen to that every day from 5:30 to 6, or pretty much every day. Anyway, as each of those things happen, those windows open. And unless we close them down, then they stay open. And just like a computer, and your smartphone, how often do you double click that home button and see how many windows are open on your phone, right? By the end of the day, I try to do it a couple times a day, but if I forget at the end of the day, I got like 20 of those things that are open on my phone that I then, I then delete out, and so that the system can whatever. And I don't do it every night, but every few nights I literally shut it down, shut the phone down. And obviously I charge it every night, but I literally shut it down to turn back on the next day just to give that smartphone rest. And so as I thought about that, I, just my mind started going, and I spent more time on it. And I thought about, okay, what can we learn from computer or smartphone maintenance? And for those of you who follow my blog, I wrote about this personally this week on my blog. But from a business perspective, as we think about that, the first thing that we want to do, if we haven't done it from a business standpoint, and that's why not a bad idea Obviously, you hopefully have annual goals, you have an annual business plan. But from there, you should have monthly goals, you should have weekly goals, you should have daily goals, blah, blah, blah. And you put those things in place, right? And that essentially becomes the hard drive for your business. It becomes, what's moving you down the road as far as your real estate business is concerned. This is where I'd like to get to. These are the things I'm going to have to do. The big things I'm going to have to do. These are the smaller things I have to do. And these are the daily or hourly things that I got to do to get to daily, to get to weekly, to get to monthly, to get to annual, if that makes sense. And if you can kind of buy into that and just kind of think about that a little bit and, process it. That's a computer term. The first thing that you want to do as far as your business plan is to clean your hard drive. You want to go in and what are the two terms? It's a defrag and what's the other one? There are two of those that are in there. But anyway, you go into your system maintenance and you want to defrag, and that compresses things to give you more space to make your operating system work better, to work more efficiently. And I can't remember the other one, but the third one is, which I forget to do all the time, is delete the cookies. To go in and delete the cookies. And before I go farther, Vincent, how do we do that on our computers? How do we go about deleting the cookies on our computer?
What does that do?
You're muted.
God, damn mute button. You have to go into your history, clear the cache, right?
How do you get to history?
Depends on the browser. If you're in Google, you would go up to the little dots in the upper right and go into history, clear all that out. And then, but you want to retain your passwords because we're all messed up if we don't do that. And that clears out all your browsing history, and that clears out the cookies basically.
Yeah, so when you clean out the cookies, then you have to, when you go into an app, you'll have to put the password back in.
No, you have an option to retain your passwords, which I recommend. But what it will do is it will, so your browser caches information. So when the page loads, it remembers, oh, I've got all this in my cache, and it doesn't work as hard to display the page. So when you clear that out, it's got to rebuild the page, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so the point of that,
yeah.
folks, think about that again for yourself, either personally or professionally. You're going in and you're, reading stuff and searching for things and things like that. And those cookies are in there and they start grabbing other things, right? To show you because they think you're going to be interested in them, right? That's that whole geo-marketing targeting that Vincent does.
That's correct. That's right.
And so think about that, as it relates to your life, right? What are you doing to make sure you don't let the distractions keep you away from your purpose? The distractions keep you away from what it is I need to do between 11 and 12 today, right? And the cookies on the computer are like the phone calls that you get, or like the pop-up that you get on your computer, or, David and Russell and Barb with the grandkids, Vincent, kids coming in. Hey, I need you. Hey, I just fell down and scraped my knee. That's like a cookie. It's like a distraction. And if we don't have ourselves set up in a way that we know what we need to do with that distraction, it can totally discombobulate us and take us away. So here I'm working on a purpose. I'm working on something, and something pops up on my computer, or a child comes in with a scraped knee, or, phone call, whatever. We need to have things in place that we can go right back to where we were. That happened. Okay. I dealt with it. Okay. Now I'm moving back again. And the point with the cookies is that if you're really focusing in on something that you really are, striving to do well, then you have to put yourself in a place to limit those distractions. And some of us, that we got to deal with it. We're at home and kids are there and that kind of thing, but there are times where we can put ourselves, I think, David, you're in the office right now, right? Zion, right? And you got power there today, right? That's good. Zion Crossroads didn't have power yesterday because of those storms. But anyway, Russell's out someplace looking at a beautiful scenery on the back of his truck, right? Both these guys probably there because they were away from their kids. I mean, your kids may be in school, but the point being is they've limited the distractions. They've limited the cookies that could cause them to be distracted. So the first thing we want to do is clean our hard drive and get it to a place of, okay, I'm a sponge. I'm a clean slate. Where do I want to go with my business? And David, you're waiting to get your license. I mean, that's as clean a slate as you can get. But we want to put ourselves, okay, here's where I am right now. Let me get back to square one. I've got, for those of you who've been in the business for a little bit, I've gotten to this place. All right, so what do I need to do differently to get to the next place? And some of that may mean that I have to leave some other things behind that I was doing. Some things I have to keep on doing because they got me busy in the first place, right? Daily activities that are causing me to network and generate more leads and things like that. Some of it is that we got to get out of our comfort zone and have Vincent, show us how to, market ourselves on social media or get on GoHanna and get the Engage stuff working for us. So it starts sending things out, learning how to send the e-cards out. I mean, I'm telling you folks, with that e-card, as I was going through it, I saw exactly what Ben Fuller was telling us the other day, where you could go in just a short period of time and put in the whole rest of the year so that you knew something went out to that list every month. Because as you scroll down the e-cards, it goes from this to holidays, and the holidays they got in there are just, they're too numerous to mention. And you can figure out which one's the best. You can put your own little, comment in there. You can save it. It'll say send out, and you can put, first Monday of the month or first Tuesday of the month or whenever you want to do it. And it's done. And then the next thing you know, it's going out and people are responding to them. You go, wait, I don't remember doing that. Oh yeah, I did. I did say happy 4th of July with my e-card. And it begins to, do things for you that's going to help you. And so the point there is we're cleaning out the hard drive. And the other thing that happens is when we start cleaning out the hard drive, we start reducing the thoughts that we're having that, maybe I can't do this business, or the fears, well, what happens if somebody calls me and they want to list a house? I don't know how to do that yet. Or the anxieties of, how am I going to make this all work? When we spend time in that kind of thinking, from a fear of success versus a fear of failure, and we allow anxieties to get in the way, what it does is, just like all the open windows, it limits our capabilities. Last year, we had the slogan, or gosh, it's been more than a year now. We had that slogan of crossing out the T and I can't to make it I can, because we believe, right? We believe in ourselves. We believe that we can help people. I mean, all of you guys are fairly new to the business, but anybody that works with you is going to be really grateful that they worked with you, because you're good people. You may not have the same experience as somebody else. You may not have the same success as somebody else, but you're going to care for them and you're going to provide them personal attention, and you're going to get them to where they want to go. And they're going to be grateful, that they chose you. And that's what you got to believe. You got to have that belief from the very get-go. You're new, but you've got Michael. You're new, but you've got Vincent. You're new, but you've got the Howard Hanna programs behind you. And therefore, you've got everything you need to start prospecting and saying to people, I'd love to have the privilege of working with you. I'd love to have the privilege of marketing your house to get it sold. I'd love to earn the right to become your realtor. And so we want to get rid of the thoughts and the fears and the anxieties, because they limit our capabilities. When we do that, if we stop and we spend time, whether it's every day or once a week or however you want to do it, I encourage you to stop, clean the slate, put yourself in a position, whether it's Sunday night or Monday morning or whatever, and let your thought process take you to what you're thinking about. What is it that I need to do this week to be more successful than I was last week? It takes us hitting the pause button to stop and closing the windows down so we don't have all this stuff going on and just say, okay, what is it that I need to be doing? And, whether it's on the back of the truck or wherever you are, a quiet place where you can be still, hit the pause button and let your mind go as to where do I want my business to go? Who is it that I want to call today that's going to help me get new business? Brian Buffini always used to talk about when in the old days, before the computer days, he had a note card file, right? Remember those? Like 3x5, 4x6 notebook cards, and you separate them by alphabet, and you separate them by 1 through 31, and you had this whole sorting system. And he literally would get at his desk first thing in the morning, and he'd put his hands over it, kind of like what was that guy's name on Johnny Carson? The great Carmack. Remember they used to put some of you don't even know who Johnny Carson is.
Karnak. Come on,
Yeah,
everybody knows that.
The great Carnac, and he put this card up on his forehead, and he would guess what it said. But anyway, Brian would do sort of that same thing. He'd put his hands over the thing and say, okay, who has business for me today? And he would reach into his note card and say, okay, Mr. Smith, I'm calling you today, and I'm going to ask for a referral. And I know that you're going to, help me. And he would just start doing his calls that way. And when he got the call and had a conversation, he would make a little note on the card and it would go to the back of the thing saying that, okay, I've been in touch with that person. But the point being is we need to identify what we think about. We got to identify where it is we want to go. And then once we do that, we've cleaned the hard drive. And now what we want to do is we want to replace the old thoughts with new thoughts. And the way we do that is that we start thinking about what are affirmations that I need to speak to speak to myself. What are the affirmations? What are the word tracks that I want to speak to myself? On the Rise and Grind this morning, it's interesting because I didn't know he was going to talk about this, but he talked about the poem "Man in the Mirror," and in the background he had Michael Jackson singing, right? I'm talking to the man in the mirror. But he was repeating the Man in the Mirror poem. And obviously the poem is about who do you see when you look in the mirror? Well, your affirmations, your positive word tracks are what you need to start speaking into your life. For me, I had things like one of my affirmations was a crazy one, but the question was, have I got an appointment today? Michael, you got an appointment today? Michael, where are you going to get an appointment today? That was one of my things that I spoke, and I had it above my desk. That I, back then, we didn't have computers and stuff. So you worked at the office, and kind of nice. When you went home because you didn't have anything, right? And then I got a little Mac with a 256K little hard disk that ran the whole operating system. And man, I was big time. I was one of the first realtors in Reston to have a Mac computer. I made my own little flyers that were terrible, but I made them myself, and it gave me a chance to do stuff at night once the kids had gone to bed, that kind of thing. But the point being is, have you got an appointment? Michael, where's your appointment coming today? Another one for me was, what positive difference are you going to make in the world today? That's a 40-some year affirmation that I still speak to myself every day. What positive difference am I going to make in the world today? One of the reasons I got into real estate. I had that before, and I sold, and I was a good salesperson, but I didn't feel like selling office supplies and furniture. I could really answer the question, what positive difference am I making in the world today? Okay, I sold you a 30x60 desk at a good price, and it came in at the right time, and that kind of thing. Or I sold you a gross of pencils at 20% off, and whatever. Now I built relationships with people, and I even back then I understood being relational versus transactional, but it didn't really answer what positive difference can make in the world. I can make a positive difference in the world every day as a realtor, because I'm going to help somebody buy or sell a house. I'm going to help somebody get into a property that they didn't think they could get into. I'm going to help somebody win a contract when there are 10 offers. I'm going to help somebody. That's making a positive difference in the world. But at the same time, as I grow my business and I'm in a position where I don't have to be someplace 9 to 5, I can make a positive difference like Caitlin and Bevan and Alex did the other day working on an AHIP project. You know, they went through Young Professional Networks and helped build a ramp and a side porch so an older couple could get into their house and not have to move because they were starting to be challenged with steps. They could do that. One, because they can manage their time. Two, because they're volunteering as a realtor. Three, because they're networking with other realtors and other vendors like lenders and people that are affiliates of CAR, where who knows, some other business, you know, might come from that. So you're replacing old thoughts with new thoughts, not letting yourself go back to the thoughts, fears, and anxieties or limiting your capability, but say, you know what, I can do this because I believe in myself and I believe I can make a difference. All right, before I go forward, any thoughts that jump out at you that resonate with you as I share that? Go ahead.
I guess setting your goals for that yearly goal. I've always done something like that, but I've never really set it for a year. I just think a year is way too long, and I think things happen throughout the year. So I usually set it for like, I don't know, 5 weeks or so, and set a goal for 5 weeks, and reevaluate my goal and where I got to it, and if I need to tweak it a little bit, I can, and reset it, and then say, all right, another 5 weeks, here I go, and go. It's like a restart, and when you can get a restart, it gives you that little extra motivation to keep going. As like, for example, if you set a goal to lose weight in January, pretty much at the end of April or March, people are out of it, they're done, just because the year is so long. So if you like
That's way
compress
too
it,
late. They're usually done by the end of January.
yeah, exactly. So if you compress that goal to smaller increments, I feel it gives you a little more motivation to get to it. And then once you get to that week that you have set, you can go back and recalibrate your goal and reset it again, and it gives you that extra boost for those next couple of weeks to knock it out.
No,
That's
that's really
my-
good. And the only thing I would, push back on a little bit is the fact that you can still have the annual goal,
Yeah. Mhm.
but then from the annual goal becomes the monthly goal,
Mhm.
right? There's that 4 or 5 weeks, right? And okay, if I'm going to be there in 5 weeks, okay, what do I have to do every week so that in 5 weeks I'm going to be there? Okay, what do I have to do every day this week to accomplish that so I go into next week having gotten to where I need to be? And I like your thought process because it's about bite-sized pieces, right? We talk all the time about one step at a time. Let's just say, to be extreme, that you have a goal that you want to walk to Nashville, right? I'm gonna walk to Nashville. You can do it. I mean, it's gonna take a long time, right? But you're not going to get there unless you take the first step out of your house toward it, and then another step, and then another step, and slowly but surely, bite-sized pieces, you'll end up in Nashville. If you have the right map and all those kind of things, and I think that's really important. And then going back to what you just said, David, about the 5 weeks is perfect in regards to the next thing. At the end of the 5 weeks, or at the end of the time period that you've put in for yourself, you need to do a system reboot, right? You need to do a full-on reset of, okay, here's how the 5 weeks went. All right, what did I succeed at? What didn't I get done? All right, did I not get it done because I was undisciplined, or did I not get it done forever? So then you sort of reevaluate, right? You reevaluate, and then you move forward, and you come up with your next 5-week plan based on the experience you had in the past and what you learned, from the past, so that you can then focus into the future. But yeah, that's good. Anybody else?
When we set our goals in December, I remember that the day that we were talking about it, and when those things were due to you, I was excited because all of a sudden there were 4 things that were popping up. Had a listing, had a buyer, the two others, I forget which, because and so that made me set my goals a little bit higher than I would have a week earlier, because it got me excited. But little did I know it was going to take so far 5 months with my buyer to nail down a house. I mean, we've probably looked at 20 and made offers on, 5. But and then the listing hasn't sold because it's land, and so it's a little discouraging. But need to look at that and break it down into quarters and then months to see where I need to catch up. But my goals were based on last year, and that was such a good year, but it was so much family stuff and 2 of our deals and 2 of Eric's deals. So I got to get back to reality and realize that's not where my business is coming from this year, probably.
Okay, and so that's a really good, thank you for sharing that, because that's exactly what we're talking about, that you had these things in place, you moved toward those things, you thought this was going to happen, and some it just hasn't happened, right? Russell, you've certainly had that same experience, you know? So what we have to do in that situation is, you know, again, going back to replacing old thoughts with new thoughts, is not I'm frustrated, not I'm discouraged. Okay, what else do I need to do to get some other stuff going until these things happen?
Yeah.
You know, instead of saying, oh gosh, I didn't get these things, haven't happened, therefore I'm not gonna meet my goals, and you know, I'm not any good, and you know, I'm not blah blah blah. Instead say, okay, these things aren't happening as quickly. I got to put these on the back burner. I'm going to continue to do whatever I need to do, but what am I going to do to put some things on the front burner to rekindle the activity and the business, so that I can reach my goals. And then when these other things come to fruition, I'm just going to be that much better off. I think one of the biggest mistakes that that people make is I shouldn't say mistakes, but we count on certain things to happen, and when they don't, it causes us to be even more discouraged because we were counting on it. What we got to do is have a different mindset of how much can I get in my pipeline, so that when something doesn't happen, it's like, oh, that's not happening yet, versus, you know, I'm going to go stick my head in my pillow with my thumb in my mouth, right? You know, okay, that hadn't happened, but that's okay because I got these 2 other appointments yesterday. And you get a pipeline going so that when something doesn't happen, it doesn't negatively impact you as much. And so that's a great point. You know, okay, you know, what do I need to do to reach out to sphere of influence, to, you know, prospect in a different way so that I can get some other business until these other things, you know, come to fruition.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would add is don't check it off your goals list until closing date. Because you know, you could have multiple contracts at a time and they can all just disappear. So keep acting as if it's not if it's not done yet, and keep going after the goal.
Yeah. Okay. I want to move forward because I've got 11 o'clock, so I'm going to have to leave a couple minutes early. But the next thing that I think makes sense when you think about computer maintenance versus your business is you got to have the latest version. You know, your computer should have the latest version, so you can work efficiently. You know, how often do I go to do something and it says you can't do that because you don't have the newest version of Microsoft whatever, or what Outlook or Office 360, or listen to me talking about those things. I have no idea what that means. But anyway, the point being is latest version. So you've got every day, right, to make yourself the best that you can be. And the way you do that is going back to what we said before, is by taking time to go through training, taking time to upgrade yourself in regards to your thinking about buyers, you know, thinking about sellers. You know, if you get the opportunity, I mean, it is, but it's not. These last 3 weeks on my radio show, and Vincent's been kind enough to be posting those. And I think, are you posting them on the Agent Only Facebook page too, Vincent, or just Roy Wheeler?
Just the Facebook Roy Wheeler platform, but I can put them in the agent only. Sure.
Well, the point being is you go to the Roy Wheeler page, he's posting the shows, and the last 3 shows have been Jay Dominic talking about all sorts of different types of financing. Bill Tucker talking about the things he's learning as an attorney that buyers and sellers need to be concerned about as it relates to multiple contracts and the market that we're in. And then me just doing the market's crazy conversation. So the last 3 weeks, if you go in there, or you can go to WINA.com, click on podcasts, go to Real Estate Matters, and you can find the archive. But the point being is, if you just take the time and you're driving along, they're 20 minutes. You know, David, as you're driving to pick up the kids from school or whatever, you know, hearing those things, you're going to fill your mind with some things that when somebody asks you the question, you're now going to have some answers, right? You're now going to have. So the point being is, we all need to every day make ourselves the best version that we can be. And the way we make ourselves the best version is by learning new things, by getting outside our comfort zone and doing something else, right? Right now, latest version of me is somebody who's trying to be, you know, physically fit at 68 years old, right? And David gave me a fist bump the other day on Zoom, you know, because I was talking about push-ups. And at the beginning of the year, I just said, you know, I'm gonna start doing push-ups again. I this week did 46 at one time. That's my new PR, 46. And so now I've added planks to it, which I absolutely hate. The push-ups I don't mind, the planks I just hate. But anyway, the point being is I'm trying to make myself the best version I can be so I can operate efficiently. So I can be as healthy as I can be, so I can be able to, you know, enjoy my grandkids for as long as I can enjoy them and live life to its fullest and that kind of thing. So anyway, the point being is getting the latest version of yourself so you can work efficiently from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. I obviously feel like the more physically fit you are, the more you get the right kind of sleep, you have the right kind of nourishment, the better you are in doing your job each and every day. So getting the latest version. So how do we do that? And this is something I heard the other day. I wish I could remember the guy's name because I feel bad that I'm not giving him the credit. But thinking about, again, your mindset, the first thing we have to do is we have to face whatever the challenge is, right? We got to, just like we said, hitting the pause button. We're getting in a place where we're not distracted and we're facing whatever the challenge is. Okay, I want to be successful in real estate, right? I want to be successful in real estate. I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to face it. And then I'm going to trace. I'm going to trace back to where did the challenge start? Why is it causing me to have thoughts of, fears or anxieties or whatever the case may be? I'm going to trace back to that place. And then I'm going to erase it. Okay, I know that this is a challenge. This is where it started. I know that my mindset's not right, so I'm going to erase it. And then I'm going to replace it with the new thoughts, with the new mindset. I'm going to get with Michael. I'm going to get with Vincent. I'm going to get with Maury. And I'm going to say, hey, here's the thing I'm going, dealing with. Ryan and I have already been in a conversation today about a home inspection. I'm going to get with them and I'm going to trace back to what the problem is. And then I'm going to, erase the fact that this, woe is me. And I'm going to replace it with, all right, what do I need to do to put my client in the best place to make the right decision for themselves? So facing, tracing, erasing, and then replacing. And, again, as I said at the beginning of this, we all take the time to get the latest versions of our phones and our computers. So why not make sure we got the latest version of ourselves as well? Putting ourselves, having the right kind of operating system so that we can be living our life in the way that that we would want to live it, that we're living it in a way that we feel like we're making a difference, that we're growing our business in a way that's allowing us to have success and see that we can even have more success in the future. And so having the latest version. And then lastly, think about the fact, this kind of goes back to what David said a few minutes ago about 5 weeks. Think about the fact of how often do you start something, but you don't finish it? How many times do we say, I'm going to do this. and I don't get it done. And by the way, congratulations, Russell. I saw that you did finish your 2020 social media post in regards to things that you sold and things like that. That was something Russell, quite honestly, started but didn't finish for more time than he wanted to, right? But he got it done. But just think about, how often do I start something and don't finish, and going back again, hitting the pause button and say, why is that? Why, if this was important for me to start, have I not gotten it done? What's causing me not to finish it, right? And here are just a few reasons why. One, because we find it harder than we thought it was going to be, right? Man, this real estate stuff is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, right? It takes a lot more time and energy and whatever than I ever thought it was going to take. And man, I'd much rather be doing this over here or that over here. So I'm just going to let those distractions get in the way of me getting to where I want to be as far as my business. So it's hard. Les Brown says, do what is hard and you will like when it becomes easy. Keep doing what's easy and life will be hard. It is an interesting thought process. Two, you got to want it. You may start something, but if it's not something that is really important and that you want to accomplish, there's a good chance it's never going to happen. It goes back to the 6 Ds that I've talked to you guys about before. When you're talking about your business plan, you dream it, you design it, you develop it, and then you got to have the desire and discipline to reach your destination. The dreaming, we can dream all day long. We can design it, we can develop it, but if we don't have the desire and the discipline, we're never going to get to the destination. And so we got to want it. If you have to want to succeed as much as you want to breathe. I don't know whose story it was, but there's a story about somebody who went to this, guru of motivational whatever. And he said, I want to learn how to be successful like you. Person said, fine, meet me here at Third Beach tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Guy says, okay. He gets there, Third Beach at 6 o'clock. He's thinking the guy's going to run him into the ground, whatever the case may be. He wades him out in the water and he says, okay, stick your head under the water. So he sticks his head in the water and then the guru puts his hand on the guy's neck and doesn't let him get his head back out of the water. And obviously the guy didn't know what was happening, so he didn't take a very big breath. So pretty sure soon, guess what? He's having a hard time breathing. And he's struggling, whatever, he keeps on, and then the guy pulls him up. He goes, what the hell are you doing? He said, was that bad? He said, yeah, it was bad. Why'd you do that? He said, well, I want to teach you something. Well, what'd you teach me? He said, well, when you were under the water and it was longer, what did you need? He said, I needed to get up so I could breathe. And he said, okay, our first lesson is done. If you want to succeed, you got to remember that desire that I want to succeed, which means I got to, as much as I wanted to breathe under that water, I got to do whatever it takes to succeed. And then finally, discipline equals freedom. Being disciplined and doing things the right way for a certain amount of time will start giving you freedom to do other things, whether it's financially, whether it's time-wise, whether it's giving back to the community, whatever the case may be. Discipline equals freedom. So, what you eat, morning routines, sleep, time management, all those things should be incorporated into your resetting your computer and creating an operating system that puts you in the best place to succeed. And then I like this one. And again, I can't remember who said it. Find an excuse or a reason. It's your choice. And it's our choice. It's our choice to, figure out how to live our life the best way we can. It's our choice to be the most successful realtor we can be. And, by just thinking about through these concepts, hopefully you can kind of think through it yourself and put your own twist to it. So, thoughts?
I love how you motivate. the whole, me trying to get my real estate license is like, it is not easy. It is not easy. So I'm struggling with that still. And I do a little bit at a time, but then I lose focus and other things pull me away. So, yeah. So guilty for sure. Oh man, it's
But
brutal.
that's a really good point, Vincent. I mean, that's something that you want to do, but you've got a lot of cookies. You got a lot of
A lot of
different things
cookies.
distracting you away
Yeah.
that they're all real, right? They're all real, whether it's, playing music because you love it, spend time with your kids because you love it, spend time with your wife because you love it, caring for a sick dog, caring for all of us. All those things are legitimate things. And if we don't compartmentalize and say, okay, I'm going to do this amount each day, and it's important to me to do it, it's the thing that gets distracted. I will say this, you guys have heard me this, and you'll hear it every time I teach on time management. When you don't have enough time, you're the one who gets sacrificed.
Mm.
When you don't have enough time, the only person you can control is you. And so your personal time gets sacrificed. And it should be the opposite. That personal time should be, you should just hang on to it. I get up early in the morning, so I've got at least an hour and a half before Dottie comes downstairs. And it's not that I don't enjoy being with Dottie. I love when she comes down at 7:15. I love that next hour with her, just sitting and chatting and getting ready for the day and talking about things that I learned that morning, before she got up or whatever. But that hour and a half is really important to me. And so I just make sure it happens. If I don't, I'm not as good for me, which means I'm not as good for you guys, no doubt. So
I always, I hear a lot of, a lot of agents say, well, I just don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Right. And I always think, whenever I catch myself saying that, I think of Elon Musk. I think this guy's building rocket ships, right? And I just need to study for an hour. It's really, I'm not, so there is plenty of time. You can find the time for sure. When it's important to you, you definitely find the time.
yeah, it's a simple exercise. You guys have heard me share it.
It really
before.
is.
You just sit down with your wife or whoever's important in your life and say, okay, what things are non-negotiable for me? What things are non-negotiable for us? And you put those in your calendar first, and then you realize how many hours you still have left. It's amazing.
It's a
And it
ton of
also
time.
frees you up because you've put your loved ones first, and that's when they want you there. And then it frees you up to go do what you need to do because that was what was decided. That's how we were going to work this day or this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, this morning, I usually, whatever. Well, Dottie was taking care of Maggie, our little 2-year-old granddaughter today. And I got the privilege of going over and picking her up and bringing her back to my house, which gave Dottie time to take a shower and do the things she needed to do. So I helped Dottie, but I also got a chance to, just have that little bit of time with Maggie.
Yeah.
But that was something I had to put in my calendar for today, right? Because it was a non-negotiable. At 7:40, I was going to be in their driveway. Barb, what were you going to say? You're muted. You're muted, Barb. Barb, you're muted.
We have the whole family with us this month. And so the dog who sleeps in our room hears the first noises and gets up a lot earlier than it. But I realize, by the time 9 o'clock rolls around in the morning, well, that's happened this morning.
Yeah.
But my trick is, my goal is to try to get to bed earlier since I'm having to get up earlier. And I haven't quite reached that yet, but just a whole shuffling of schedules.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a great day.
You too.
Appreciate you.
Michael.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.